Okay, so hi everyone and welcome back to the next session. So I'm really excited to introduce you to someone quite unique in the fishing and adventure world. So it's a big welcome to Captain Q. Captain Q is the founder and principal of My Fishing Frenzy Academy and Wanderlust Adventures. And Captain Q is going to answer questions about how you can generate a passive income from your boat and maybe reduce your operating costs. So it's going to be a fascinating session and a very warm welcome to you, Captain Q.
Thank you, Dion. It's my honor to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Great. Yeah, we're really happy to have you on board. So many people think about, wanting to buy a boat and have a boat of their own, but of course it's really expensive, or it can be really expensive to buy a boat. And a lot of first-time boaters are equally, if not more so, concerned about the maintenance and the monthly operating costs. So what's your sort of, first off answer to people that are concerned and worried about monthly maintenance costs? Is that a real fear, or are people overreacting?
Oh, Dion, this is spot on because as the saying goes, right? The two happiest days in the boater's life is when you get your boat, and the second happiest is when you sell it. The reason why the second day is the happiest is because a lot of people they are not aware of the maintenance part. And after they got the boat, then all the truth comes together, and in the end, they are so happy to sell the boat. So this maintenance part, uh, it can be quite a huge sum, especially when you don't know who is the right person to look for when problems arise. So in the end, there are a lot of downtime. You're not able to use the boat, and you have to spend a lot more if you look for the wrong people to solve your problem.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good to hear, and it's certainly a big concern for people. Another thing that people, and just to add on to what we've said, it's the lack of certainty around the operating costs that's quite scary for people going into boating. Just yesterday I had someone asking me, they were looking at this boat and they said, oh, I just want to know what the maintenance is going to be on this boat. It's an older boat. It was about 25 years old. And I sort of said, well, it's quite a big question, but people want to know the answer to that question. So do you find that sort of uncertainty around those costs is an issue as well?
Yes, this is actually the most common uncertainty. Even we ourselves, well, we have certain uncertainties. It's just that we can reduce that uncertainty level through our experiences. So most of people feel fear, and why is it so? Because people fear the unknown. So the more you don't know about boating, of course, the more uncertain and the more fear of getting into it.
Yeah.
So so that's why most of the boaters, right, go through this process the hard way, but learning through the hard way, um, got the problems and have to face it and and solve it. And at the end of the day, by the time they know everything, it's about time they sell the boat.
Right, yeah. And they've invested a lot of money, haven't they? So
Yes.
because that uncertainty increases the risk, doesn't it? That risk that you have to, what does BOAT stand for? Bring out another 1,000, doesn't it? So that increases the uncertainty of all those thousands coming out when you didn't really anticipate it, yeah?
Yeah, Dion, you got hang
Yep.
just now.
No, that's good. We're back now, aren't we? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So just give us a brief background on your boat ownership experience, how long you've owned boats, and what you're using your boat for at the moment, just briefly before we go into the options.
Oh, okay. Actually, I started boating not by choice because I was enlisted into the national service in the Navy.
Okay.
So that was where I learned the boating stuff. But after that, I got to, fall in love into this. So after I come out from the army, come out from the navy, so I continue this boating lifestyle. But then I didn't got my own boat. I was like renting around, and also borrow from my friends and stuff like that. Then it's only about 5 years ago that I import in my own boat from the US.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for fishing because personally I like fishing and diving, this kind of stuff. And then that's where it all started.
Okay, so as far as you then, chartering out your boat, did you buy your boat with the intention of chartering it, or did that sort of happen, once you got your boat?
Oh, at first it's not so much intention on chartering. At first it's for my own leisure purposes. But then after that, when I got the boat, then a lot of friends come on board. Then at first it was just cost sharing. Then after that, I realized there are more and more people that I don't know. Then you ask and inquire. Then it seems like a business opportunity here. So from there, it branches out to become an actual business.
Okay, that's great. So basically, you bought your boat, and then the sort of cost sharing. So you were also thinking about how can I reduce my operating costs? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe this is the first thing in a boater's mind. So if I buy the boat, I go out, there's fuel costs. Yeah, there's also the maintenance cost and stuff like that. And how to offset this? The first thing is, cost share with your friends.
Yeah,
When
great.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's great. That's the number one, because it's the question that we're going to move on to, isn't it? Is what are the different ways that you can reduce your operating costs? So let's just tick this one off for starters. The first one is cost sharing with your friends.
Mm.
So that's good. So let's dive right into some other options. People talk about maybe chartering their boat, which is what you've done. Yeah. So let's go. Cost sharing with friends is one way. The second way is to charter your
Oh,
boat out. Are there different ways you can do that?
yes, there are basically two main ways lah. First, of course, is very direct. You just charter out, do your own marketing, and sell the charter packages out to the public. Or secondly, can rely on those charter agents. So the just advertise. I mean, just give your packages to the agents, and the agents will do the job for you.
Okay.
So these are the two main channels.
Okay. And how much do those agents normally charge, or charge these days? Because I know that whole sort of agent piece is changing, isn't it, with the digitization and the platforms that are available. What's the current sort of practice?
I've actually been to a few countries, so it varies quite. It's a quite wide range. So for those competitive places like Phuket, is in the range of 10%.
Okay.
Like in Singapore, it's around 15
Okay.
percent. Then, but places like in China is about 30%.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting. So it must have a bit to do, like you say, the competitive size of the market and maybe how well developed the market is.
yeah.
Okay. So have you noticed that platforms, so if you wanted to give your boat to an agent, is this mostly platforms these days, or is it still like individual charter brokers like it used to be in the past?
There are quite a few platforms nowadays. But then if you go to these agents, the main problem is they have many other boats as well.
Okay.
So what makes you like the boat that they want to push?
Okay.
So this is the tricky part because you don't know the agents will want to choose your boat to push the customers or the other boat.
Okay.
Mm.
All right, that's great. So this first option is cost share with your friends. The second option is chartering your boat out. And you said that you can either do it yourself or you can give it to a agent or a platform to do for maybe between 10, 15 or
Mm.
percent. Yeah. Okay. So if you were going to do it yourself, what are the downsides of that?
Okay, if you want to do it yourself, basically this is sort of like starting a new business altogether.
Okay.
You have to start to do your marketing, you have to start to do the operation, Then you just then after that you start to do the accounting and stuff like that. It's just like starting a new company, a charter business. Then the most challenging part of doing this is there's no customer base to rely on to fall on. So from 0 to 1 is always the toughest. So unless you have a lot of time to really to grow this baby,
Yeah.
otherwise it might be tough.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So then, and this is sort of the question, can you really do this part time? Can you, buy a boat and you're working a full time job somewhere, and in your mind you think, oh yeah, I'm going to set up a charter company, and how hard can it be? Yeah. Can you do this? Can you do this part time? Do you think, Captain Q?
it is possible. Like for example, I used to do this part time.
Okay.
Like before I bought this boat, right? So after I bought this boat, so I was doing full time Monday to Friday. Then weekends I go out boating, and then when people charter, I just go out during weekends.
Yeah.
But then the problem is the other maintenance part. So if you do part time, you'll be quite tiring because there are many things to look into. Just the not just bringing out people to the sea to have fun, because that's part of the fun as well, but the back end part to do the marketing and do the maintenance
Okay.
all by yourself. You see. Mm.
Okay. And just as a quick question and aside here, I see that you've got a 40-meter super yacht in the background. Is that the boat we're talking about?
Oh, yes. I wish that was the boat.
It looks like a lot of maintenance on that one, Captain Q.
Yes, that one will need a team of
So,
maintenance.
so that's not the boat. That's not your current boat. That's your aspiration, is it?
Yes, my current boat will be a tender boat to this super yacht.
Tender. Okay. Oh, that's super. Yeah, we just sort of thought we might. It's a lovely boat, but I thought we might just make it clear that that's not the boat we're talking about. Yeah, though you've been incredibly successful in your part-time charter. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So so you can cost share with your friends. You can set up a charter company for yourself and do that. You can get an agent. Okay, what about something like Airbnb? Can I Airbnb be my boat to offset some costs?
Okay, for Airbnb, there's no rule saying that you cannot use a boat, but the main challenge is actually from the marina you're in. So most of the marina in Singapore, actually, they don't allow doing Airbnb on board the boat. Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so in more developed countries, then that option is, well, in some countries that option's not possible. I I think maybe in some different parts of the world, maybe in Europe, do you think they can do it over there?
Okay, even if it's possible, right? It is not as a good business model as chartering out, because Airbnb the revenue is much lower than chartering the boat out.
Got
Of
it.
course, of course, the operational wise is much easier because you don't need a captain. It's just dockside.
Okay.
But then with the captain in, if you get a captain in, then actually you can get a much higher income out of there.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Okay, that's interesting. So that sort of leads to my other question that I've got around that is that can you, just do like dockside parties, and is that a viable option?
Normally, when we charter the boats for dockside parties, right, is when those downtime when there's nothing to do. If not, as I mentioned earlier, when once the boat sail out, we can charter at much higher price.
Okay.
But it's still taking up the same time slot if you are looking if you are doing the ad dock side, you see.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. So from a business perspective, the taking the boat out is the way to go if you want to maximize your revenue. Okay.
yep.
So all right. So what else is there? So I know that you've been pretty innovative in this space. So what other ways can I get some certainty around my operating costs, Captain Q?
You mean in terms of
What
uh,
what you guys are proposing?
oh, okay. Actually, the main thing is the main cost for the boat is the monthly birding and the maintenance part. So once these two, okay, the money birding is fixed, so that one is a known. It's the maintenance part that's unknown. So we realized that because the those new boaters, uh, don't know how to maintain, then a small fault that is not, I mean, a stitch in time saves nine, you see. So sometimes a small fault is not discovered in time, then you have to spend a lot, much more money. So we learn this through the hard way. So we realize might as well we use our knowledge and help those new boaters, right, to maintain their boat. So this unknown can be kept to, I mean, the minimum. Then in the meantime, since we already have the customer base, might as well, introduce our customer to this new boat for charter. Then we can reduce the cost of the operation and also get some revenue to cover for the reduced cost, and might even, earn some passive income out of it.
Okay, okay. So if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that you've kind of got a new model that combines a little bit of the agency thing that we talked about before,
Mhm.
but all which includes the marketing and getting the customers, but also you're including some of the maintenance in your idea or in your business model. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
be-
Okay.
because for because for agents, most agents, they are actually tech companies. So
Okay.
they set up the platform, then they just link the customers to the boat owners.
Okay.
So they don't know much about the boating industry and how to run and how to maintain the boat. But because we have done this ourselves, so we have our own customer base, and then we are boaters ourselves, so we know both sides of the story.
Okay, okay, that
Yeah.
sounds great. So that means that if I was thinking of buying a boat and I wanted to reduce my monthly costs and have someone look after the maintenance, is that sort of the package that you're offering?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
how does that work from a sort of a money perspective? So, or you would charter the boat, you would we would share the boat, would we?
Oh, okay. Basically, it's like this. Someone will buy the boat. I said the owner buys the boat, then put under our company. Then we will charter this boat out. But the maintenance and the berthing part we will cover, regardless of whether it's being chartered out or not.
Wow.
So and once the boat is chartered out, then we will like pay by per day basis to the owner. So the owner is either zero cost or you have revenue because of the daily basis charter.
Okay, so it's
Mm.
either zero cost or revenue from
Yes.
the birthing and the maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. So it's not never the other way that I need to pay it if there's not enough charter income. You're going to cover it as part of my boat being in your sort of fleet. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. So, wow, that's amazing. So, typically, how many days a month would I need to give my boat for charter, or how many days a month would I be able to use it privately? How does that work?
It is quite flexible. So if the owner wants to use it very often, so there will be less days that we can use for charter. So it'll be less income because we give out the revenue based on per day basis. You see, then certain days if you want to use for charter, then owner say no because I want to use it. Then we can't accept that charter.
Okay.
So normally, minimum I think we can hit at least 10 days. We can use the boat out. That one is quite a safe bet. So if it's more, if the owner wants to, you can use the boat anytime you want, 30 days in a month. So of course we try to push more charters to maybe to hit the maximum 30 days in the whole month.
Okay, got it, got it. Okay, but there must be a minimum that you need to charter the boat out to cover those the maintenance costs and the berthing costs. So what's the minimum? And if I wanted a zero cost, and I wanted to use the boat as much as I could for myself, what's
Mm.
the minimum number of days that I would need to provide the boat to you?
Oh, okay. Minimum is 10 days.
10 days. Okay, so it's
Mm.
20 for me and 10 for costs.
Mm. Well, from experience, nobody use 20 days in a
No,
month.
no, that's exactly right. That is, you're absolutely spot on. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, so what about so that is that going to include the increased costs? Like I know insurance goes up when it's charter and berthing goes up. So do you cover those commercial costs as well?
Okay, for the insurance, it does goes up a bit. So the insurance cost is because it's based on the insured value of the boat. So it goes up is mainly for the third party liability because there's their customers coming on. So the increase is not that much, it's just a bit.
Okay.
Mainly is on the inspection part because for charter we need to be much safer. So in Singapore, right, the safety inspection is very stringent. Yeah, the usual inspection cost maybe about $100-200 annually, but for the charter boats, right, is in the range of $2,000 over dollars.
Okay. Okay. And it needs to be done annually, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so we absorb those costs as part of our purchase price, and then you're covering the maintenance and the berthing. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay. All right. So what would be sort of, okay, so the three upsides or the three, reasons why I would want to charter out my boat. What I want to know the three upsides and the three downsides.
Okay. Okay. Let me talk about the downside
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
So the downside actually is quite obvious. If you charter the boat out, then the customer use more. Obviously, there will be more wear and tear. And with more wear and tear, right, of course, it leads to the next downside, which is the depreciation of the boat. Uh, and and of course, lastly is the as you mentioned earlier, is how flexible I can use the boat. So if you don't charter, you can just hop on any time that you feel like it. But if it's for chartering, once the date is fixed for charter, the owner cannot use it because we cannot just withdraw back the bookings.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So sometimes when you go to sell your boat, if it's been used as charter, then that reduces the appeal for the resale, doesn't it? And it reduces the value sometimes.
Yep.
Okay, so so there's a lack of flexibility perhaps, but like you say, who uses their boats 20 days a month? The
Yep.
increased depreciation and more wear and tear. Okay, all right, and the upsides.
The upside is more or less covered earlier. Is basically it's hassle free. First of all, you don't need to worry about the burning. And in most marinas, right, the burning cost increase every year. Yeah, and secondly is the maintenance. This maintenance is really a big headache. Because for charter, right, we cannot have any downtime. So we not only need to find the right person, we need to look at those people who can do it very efficiently. So the upside is the boat will be at any time operational. For a lot of private owners, I've seen boats, right, they've been break down for a long time because they are taking their time to go and maintain, or they don't have the right people to do it. And lastly is, okay, just now mentioned about the downside on the uh, depreciation value, right? The boat is a different asset compared to, let's say, compared to cars. Cars, right, there is a very defined market rate at any point of time. But for boats, there's no defined market rate. If I buy a boat at 200,000 today, I can sell it at 200,000 maybe 1 or 2 years later. Okay, it all depends on whether you meet the right buyer or not. And also, there are so many ways to make the boat look much better. I mean, to look good again. It is quite easy for us because we know what are the things that we can polish it to make it bright and shiny, so we can sell it out actually at the buying price,
Okay.
like compared to 1 2 years ago. So other than the passive income, right, that can generate monthly, even after maybe 2 years or 3 years later, right, we might be able to sell it at almost the same price, if not the same price. I mean, if not the same price, but almost the same price as the buying price.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. So, what sort of boats are we talking about? So, I want to buy like what you've got in the background. I want a 40-meter super yacht. Is that the type of boat that you can manage for me, or what sort of boats does are good for charter? That's really the question. Of course, super yachts are, but that's not what we're talking about here. What sort of boats are good for charter for first timers and in the market that you're dealing in?
Okay, okay, let me sidetrack a bit on this super yacht because I'm an adventure guy. So the most of super yacht charter nowadays, right, is more on the leisure side, playing the water toys and go out. Then one super yacht only like carry 12 to 16 people. for such a big yacht. So why I have this is because there is the helicopter platform, there's tender boats that when we reach a location, right, we can deploy out the helicopter, deploy out the tender boats, right, to do fishing and diving, more adventurous type. And even a lot of super yacht now have submarine, so we can have submarine to build. Okay, anyway, this aside,
It's
for
nice.
local context, uh, the factors that we have to choose, of course, is not about what yacht you like or what boat you like. It's about the demand in the market. So the demand in market, there are a few things. Basically, people charter a yacht to go out for fishing, for snorkeling, for parties, for celebration, for corporate retreats. So certain yachts, right, are suitable for certain activities. So it depends on the market that we want to target. Then we look for that particular yacht. There's
Okay.
no single yacht that can fulfill all the activities, one,
Okay.
unless it's the one in the background.
Yeah, exactly. And a big, a big,
Okay.
a big checkbook to boot. Yeah.
Yes.
So
And then
what market are you targeting at the moment? What markets are you targeting for, what you're talking about, this offsetting costs?
okay. Currently, right, the market that we're targeting are those small groups, like family or small group of friends, and especially those who like fishing, because because we feel that when we go out every time just for cruising around the island or go to a bay for swimming, it is not a hobby. You see, people will not keep on going.
Right.
uh, but if it's fishing, then you can fish then you can catch, and after that and cook it. It is like a hobby plus a day out. So
Okay.
when it's a hobby, people do it like can be weekly, monthly, that kind of thing. So we have a lot of repeat customers that keep coming back.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's it's very interesting what you've just said there, and it's quite amazing actually because yeah, that repeat customer thing, you're absolutely right. You go out with a group of people on a like you say, just for swimming or sunset cruise, but you
Mm.
don't typically repeat that, do you? But
Yeah.
fishing, yeah, where it's a hobby, yeah, that's a really
Mm.
really good point. Very smart. Okay, so there again, what size boat are we talking about, and how much money do I need to put aside to buy a boat if I wanted to, do your way of offsetting costs?
I would say that the size will be in the range of maybe 30, 30 over to 40 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, because when it's too big, it is hard to maneuver around for to the fishing spots. And then, of course, the bigger the boat, the higher the maintenance and the berthing.
Okay.
So this is just nice for a small group. And then the price range for a second-hand boat like this will be in the range of 100 over to 100 over K. Yeah,
100 to 200,000. Okay, Singapore
yeah,
dollars. Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Okay, so that's yep, that's sort of a fairly almost standard sort of entry level, isn't it? Anything from sort of
yep.
smaller boats obviously are a bit smaller, but
Mm.
$50,000 for a very entry level boat. But you're saying 30 to 40, which is a bit bigger, 1 to 200,000, depending on what age and condition. Yeah.
Yes, but for boats to charter, right, the reliability of the boat is very important,
Okay.
especially when we already have a lot of charters, pushed to that particular boat, then suddenly it breaks down. So
Okay.
it's not just about giving refunds back to customer. It is a reputation and the credibility involved. So we have to make sure that even those boats that is too cheap, it might be something wrong with the engine and stuff like that, and then it's not reliable. So the number one factor is actually to make sure that the boat is reliable.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, all right, yep. And so, would you help in sort of giving some guidance on what boat to buy?
Okay. The boat you buy, if it's for leisure use, right? The type of engine is would not matter that much because the frequency of usage is not so high. So, but if it's for business purposes, then we might go out almost every other day. Then the engine must be fuel efficient.
Fuel
Other,
efficient. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, the operating cost will be high.
Okay.
So fuel efficient as in we try not to look for boats that is running on petrol. In Singapore context, because petrol is much more expensive than diesel. So we look for diesel engine boats, and it's also much more efficient with a diesel engine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's great. So, I mean, one of the challenges that we know for first timers, and we do a webinar called Boat Ownership Secrets, and one of those 3 secrets is that boat maintenance can be a nightmare for first time boaters. So I'm just quite thrilled that you are, stepping into that gap, because, we actually do, deal with people and help people, and it almost breaks my heart. I had a guy, he'd owned his first boat for 2 years, and he wanted out because he couldn't get on top of the maintenance side of it. He was just so kind of sick to the bottom of it. So it's quite amazing that, that you've been able to put these things together to, I think, really solve quite a real problem for people, Captain Q.
Yeah, because I've been through that stage myself.
Yeah, exactly.
You really need a strong heart.
Right. Yeah, they do say that, getting through these stages of boat buying, really only the most committed actually get through it, because the whole process is actually a bit harrowing, and that's kind of what Basco helps people with, of course. No, that's great. So all right, so the last question: what's your number 1 tip about buying a boat that you can pass on to first timers? What's your number 1 tip?
Number one tip. Okay. When you face with your challenges about owning the boat, right? Just think back on your passion, why you first started it, that you want to buy this boat. Yeah, and that
Okay.
will push you to carry on.
No, that's great. Yeah, and you kind of need that passion, don't you, to get
Yeah.
through the rocky bits of on the road to boat ownership and the boating lifestyle. And
Mm.
there's research that actually backs that up. That, like I said before, it's only the most passionate and committed that actually make it through. But with what you guys are doing, I think there's going to be a few more people, which is good news all the way around, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm.
So I'd like to thank you very much for your words of wisdom in here. And like I say, it sounds like a really great thing that you're doing. And if people are interested in finding out more, then you're the man to talk to, yeah?
Yep. Okay.
All right, so thank you so much for your time today, and we'll see you at the expo.
Yes. Thanks. Thanks,
Okay,
Dion.
all
And
right.
see you guys. Okay.
Bye for
Bye.
now.